Thus saith Yahuwah, let my people go.
Who is this Yahuwah that I shall obey him? I will not let Yisrael go.
Yahuwah, the Alahym of Abraham, Isaac, and Yisrael.
There is no other mighty power except for me. I am Alahym.
Thus saith Yahuwah, let my people go.
Never. I will never let your people go.
Yahushua, the mighty hand, will smite you.
Who can make war with the beast?
Babel shall fall. It shall fall.
They all will take my mark on their foreheads and their hands.
Your sins have power to the heavens.
Let my heart be hardened. I will never let your people
the
go.
Sword, pestilence in your house, in your field, in your business, everything you touch. Until you fold, until you break.
I will never be.
Let my people go. Thus saith Yahuwah.
Where can they go? I am at the four corners of the earth. I am everywhere.
You will be brought down to the lowest pits, the lowest hell.
No, I will never let them go.
The devil who led them astray was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they shall be tortured day and night forever.
I shall stand in Jerusalem as Alahym.
Yahuwah Almighty who judges you is Alahym.
Never. I refuse.
Thus saith Yahuwah,
I will never let your people go.
let my people go. I can hear it within the drums of my ears. The last words of a slave to be hung. May this country receive back double for all her crimes. And with that, his neck snapped, and in the background, the flag flies high as the Pledge of Allegiance rang out.
Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps, pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave, and the star-spangled banner in triumph of
The land of the free and the home of the brave, penned by Francis Scott Key. His words feel like the same spirit that says, make America great again. America. You demonize and kill those who draw attention to your sick and deranged foundation. Like those free Negroes that fought to free their enslaved brethren in the War of 1812. It was a trap, a paradox. As the British enslaved those same lost tribes years before. Welcome to the diabolical matrix. It's important we time travel before we speak of this modern day nightmare you constructed. The year is 1526, when the first documented slaves from Hispaniola landed in what is now South Carolina. European barbarians grossly oppressed indigenous and African people there, or quote unquote African people. Vexed and so, the indigenous population stormed settlers, and the enslaved people rebelled, escaping to take refuge. This was the enmity sparked on this soil, a fact that America has shrewdly omitted from its history books. Let's hop to England. In that same country there, Queen Elizabeth rules. Her court is filled with the cultists, witches, and warlocks, names like John Dee. The Queen's advisory and conjurer of spells stands out. This small detail is the hinge on the door of the transatlantic slave trade. For people like these devilishly conspired with John Hawkins to kidnap about 300 so-called Africans off the coast of Sierra Leone. It was Queen Elizabeth who said, "Niggers are infidels, having no understanding of Christ or his gospel." The hypocritical mindset at its finest, manifest destiny even. For it was those who commissioned John Hawkins to transport slaves on the good ship Jesus, a 700-ton ship purchased by King Henry VIII. Elizabeth's flawed understanding and perverted gospel was one meant to steal, kill, and destroy the lost tribes. Her vicious hatred towards and against those of a darker hue would spread like a wildfire. She magnified the wicked doctrine of European supremacy. And not only that, the perversion of the gospel of Christ became more universal. Hatred of this magnitude is not surprising, though, for Satan himself is a master deceiver and imitator of the truth. From the name of Yahushua being changed to Jesus, from the radical message of the good news, aka the gospel, to a perversion of the truth, breeding a spirit infatuated with death, destruction, and oppression. From the chosen people of the scriptures to people being labeled niggers, tar babies, slaves, coons, boys, and porch monkeys. This is a pathway to America's founding. Even now, I can hear the slave captain speak with excitement, elated to make America great off the backs of the Hebrews. It's stated by many historians that a few million to 100 million lost tribe people died in the Middle Passage to the Americas, England, Spain, the Caribbeans, and elsewhere. This year, 2019, it is estimated that 50 million so-called blacks are in America. So imagine if a militia rounded up all those people and put them into cages with no food or water. Or rounded them up and threw them into a pool full of sharks. These were the lives lost in an effort to make America great. People traded like stocks on the same blocks they now trade stocks. To build houses like the White House, yet there's no justice inside of it. To clear fields and plant agriculture in a field full of lies. After cotton picking was no longer expedient, the sun rose on the industrial age and you discarded us with the stroke of a pen. These were the lives sacrificed on the altar of greed and gluttony. To this day, the Statue of Liberty stands tall, but she ignores what is under her feet. The blood of millions of lost tribe and indigenous people still cries out for vengeance. Cries that continue to grow louder and louder by the second. But they're drowned out by clinging glasses and toast. It's the toast of those oppressors, as a lot of the European Americans benefit off the past. They say, doesn't have anything to do with me. Plus, that's the past. Let's get over it. That bigoted statement has seeped into the subconscious minds of many Europeans in powerful positions. No, we cannot get over rape, murder, and theft. Not until you widely acknowledge, repent, and pay back what you owe. Please don't take this as a sympathy card or hate speech or an indictment against all Europeans. For there are a few who are genuinely sympathetic to the struggle of the oppressed. They give their best to lend a hand to right the wrongs of their forefathers. They understand that justice is an obligation of gross magnitude. Those individuals know that the shoe could easily be on the other foot. It is a human's right issue that affects everyone. No, we are not talking about them today. We are talking about America, the ones with their chest puffed up, who are in denial. This is a declaration of justice. The new emancipation of proclamation. Repent or face vengeance. Be in the right standing with Alahym of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, Yisrael. Or face brimstone and fire. You have touched Yahuwah's children, the lost tribes of Yisrael. He is the maker of heaven and earth. He has been so merciful in allowing America to repay the descendants of those who continue to kill and enslave. America has the power to initiate justice. She can put in motion an atmosphere where the descendants of the European oppressors are obligated to right the wrongs of their fathers. For a person that benefits from injustice and hides oneself from it is no better than the seamen who threw that Hebrew off those slave ships to the sharks. By the way, no, reverse psychology will not work. It will not make us feel bad about speaking the truth. We are aware of those tactics, especially against the ones who fight for justice. Whether it's America or somewhere else where we're oppressed, that guilty conscience exudes. You fear us. You fear unity. You fear retaliation. You fear losing your power. Your fear is why freedom fighters have either been killed, silenced, or discredited. Afraid that the black man will become a domestic terrorist. Yet you hide the fact that a majority of the terrorists are European males. Please don't forget about the Negro Wall Street of America, where government officials orchestrated a massacre against prosperous Negroes. America, you are the biggest terrorist. Whether domestic or international, this type of fear ran through the Pharisees' veins when they heard Yahushua the Messiah's radical message of the kingdom of Yahuwah. They feared their empire would be overthrown, and it eventually would be. He should be feared because he will defend us. For when the minutes of this kingdom's reign runs out, time will be up. We are hip to the divide and conquer tactics. We are hip to the divide and conquer mind games. There's strength in numbers. Programs like the FBI's COINTELPRO were created to do this. Created to prevent a strong male figure from unifying the people, slandering them at all costs, finding dirt on them to tarnish their character and legacy, discrediting them in their community. I don't have to name names for you to get the picture. You discredit them to the good Negroes first, then discredit them to the general European population and those who are sympathetic to the struggle. Public opinion influences people's minds, so you try to influence them through mass media. This has worked flawlessly for years, but it has rapidly lost its power. There is a generation of people who see through this smokescreen. The divide and conquer tactics, like discrediting freedom fighters in the eyes of the people who should stand beside them. The old Judas trick. I lay this at the table of your amnesia. Maybe this quick flashback will jog your memory. We are aware of corporations who discriminate against the oppressed in the early years of America, leaving it difficult for our men to provide for their families, a direct attack on him On top of this, America begins to ship drugs and guns from Central America and other areas, dropped off in our communities to further magnify the problem. Now that same man has a way to make money since he can't get a decent job from your corporation. At the same time, Ronald Reagan publicized the war on drugs, otherwise known as the war on families, or our families, just to lock up that same man, the greatest threat to your kingdom. All while you continue to authorize imports of drugs and guns, a renewed way to break the slaves. Or so you think. Like how the slave owners use public torture and embarrassment to install fear in the man, to tarnish his image and manhood in front of his woman. Now, most of our men are either in the streets, prison, or dead. The women are left to raise children as a single mother. If she has avoided the traps of crack and cocaine, another one awaits. The attack on the children, she struggles to make ends meet, while child protective services creep in to the picture. They then tell her she has neglected her child, but she had to work more than she could raise him. At the same time, educational boards receive acts of Congress to further exasperate the problem. From ADHD to special attention diagnosis, it's all a hidden agenda to groom brown boys for the state penitentiary. Until years later, the street calls him just like it called his father. Results are the graveyard of the industrial prison complex. Melanated people in this country are imprisoned 5 times at the rate of whites. 1 in 10 of our children have parents behind bars, compared to about 1 in 60 white kids, according to the Stanford Center of Poverty and Inequality. Wait, there is more. These men who get out can't get a job on top of already not being able to get a job, leading him back to the life of crime and a one of poverty until the day he may stare down the gun of a police officer who pulls the trigger because of fear. An ancient guilt complex that extends back to the shores of Africa. A plan to wipe us out as a nation. Dear America, it will never happen. The day will come when Alahym of Yisrael will repay you double. We have talked for years, over 400 years to be exact, and it has become clear that you are hard of hearing. A nation that never had in its mind for us to enjoy its prosperity. I wrote this to let you know, to remember that we pleaded with you in hope. Hope that you would not only acknowledge your crimes, but repay us back what's owed. There was a nation who did the same thing as yours. Pharaoh refused to listen, and the mighty power destroyed
Thus saith Yahuwah,
his army into the sea.
let my people go.
America, please remember that there has never been a nation that has done so much evil that has escaped the universal law. The law of reaping and sowing, the law that says that what goes up must come down, and the last shall be first, and the first shall be last.